Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. In our last video, we explored how seemingly quiet moments can sometimes mask the buildup to major conflicts. Today, we shift our focus to the north, where a fierce battle played out amidst the harsh winter landscapes of Finland. A battle that would demonstrate the resilience of a small nation against a superpower. We're talking about the Winter War between Finland and the Soviet Union. This is a story of incredible courage, strategic brilliance, and a reminder that even against overwhelming odds, the will to fight for freedom can hold off the mightiest forces. Let's dive in. The Soviet expansionist agenda, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, and Soviet ambitions. Following the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact of August 1939, which split Eastern Europe into German and Soviet spheres of influence, the Soviet Union sought to expand its territorial control. Stalin's eyes turned toward Finland, a small yet strategically important country. By controlling Finland, the Soviets would not only secure the Leningrad region, but also strengthen their position in the Baltic Sea. Diplomatic tensions and Soviet demands. In late 1939, the Soviet Union presented Finland with demands for territorial concessions. They asked for the Karelian Isthmus and control of certain strategic islands, which would provide better security for Leningrad. Finland, valuing its sovereignty, refused to comply with these demands, which set the stage for war. Diplomatic negotiations quickly broke down, and in November 1939, the Soviet Union launched its invasion. The start of the Winter War. The Soviet invasion begins November 30th, 1939. On November 30th, 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland with a force of over 500,000 troops, supported by tanks and artillery. The Soviets expected a quick and easy victory, underestimating both the Finnish military and the brutal winter conditions. They assumed that Finland, a small nation with limited military power, would collapse in the face of the Red Army's superior numbers and firepower. However, the Finnish people and military had other plans. Under the command of Marshal Carl Gustaf Emil Mannerheim, the Finnish forces were well prepared for the conditions of winter warfare, turning the snowy, forested terrain to their advantage. Finland's strategy and the use of terrain. Finland's geography played a crucial role in its defense. With long winters and dense forests, the Finns were able to use guerrilla tactics to outmaneuver the larger Soviet forces. Finnish soldiers, many of them skilled skiers, launched surprise attacks and ambushes, disappearing back into the wilderness before the Soviets could react. These tactics came to be known as Madi tactics, named after the Finnish word for encircling or cutting off small pockets of enemy forces. Another factor that worked in Finland's favor was the extreme cold. The temperatures often dropped as low as -40 degrees Celsius, something the Finnish forces were well equipped to handle. Soviet soldiers, on the other hand, were not prepared for such severe conditions, which led to massive logistical challenges and heavy losses due to frostbite and exposure. Finnish resistance. The Battle of Suomussalmi, December 1939, January 1940. One of the most significant battles of the Winter War was the Battle of Suomussalmi. In December 1939, a Soviet division advanced through the thick forests of central Finland, aiming to cut the country in half. But the Finnish forces, though vastly outnumbered, used their intimate knowledge of the terrain to launch a series of devastating counterattacks. Despite facing superior Soviet numbers and equipment, the Finns managed to encircle and annihilate the Soviet division, capturing valuable weapons and supplies. This victory at Suomussalmi became a symbol of Finnish defiance, showcasing how determination, clever strategy, and effective use of the environment could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The role of the Finnish soldiers. The members of the Finnish army were not just professional soldiers, but everyday people, farmers, woodsmen, and city workers who had joined the fight to protect their homeland. Their resilience was nothing short of legendary. The harsh winter conditions, rather than being a disadvantage, became their ally. Finnish snipers, known as White Death, were notorious for their precision and ability to strike fear into the hearts of Soviet troops. One of the most famous Finnish snipers was Simo Häyhä, who reportedly killed over 500 Soviet soldiers during the Winter War. His ability to remain undetected in the snow-covered forests combined with his deadly accuracy made him a feared figure among the Soviet ranks. Soviet struggles and heavy losses. Underestimating the Finnish resistance. The Soviet Union had not anticipated the level of resistance they would face. Soviet military doctrine at the time emphasized large-scale offensives and the use of armored vehicles. But the dense forests and frozen lakes of Finland made such tactics difficult to execute. Tanks became bogged down in snow and ice, and the Soviet forces found it nearly impossible to coordinate large movements in the rough terrain. Moreover, the morale of Soviet troops plummeted as they faced both the freezing cold and the ferocity of the Finnish defenders. Soviet leadership, including Stalin, became increasingly frustrated by the lack of progress and mounting casualties. Soviet tactical adjustments. Realizing the futility of their initial approach, the Soviets adjusted their tactics in early 1940. They sent reinforcements and changed their strategy to focus on overwhelming the Finnish defensive lines with sheer force. The Soviet Air Force began to target Finnish supply routes and infrastructure in an attempt to weaken the Finnish resolve. In February 1940, the Soviets launched a massive offensive on the Karelian Isthmus, focusing their efforts on breaking through the Mannerheim Line, Finland's main line of defense. Despite fierce resistance, the overwhelming Soviet firepower and numbers began to take their toll. The end of the war, the Peace of Moscow. By March 1940, Finland, though still fighting valiantly, was exhausted. The country had suffered heavy losses, and their resources were running low. Despite their remarkable defense, the Finnish government recognized that they could not continue the fight much longer. On March 12, 1940, the two sides signed the Treaty of Moscow, officially ending the Winter War. Under the terms of the treaty, Finland ceded 11% of its territory to the Soviet Union, including the Karelian Isthmus. While the treaty was a bitter pill for Finland to swallow, they maintained their independence, and the Soviet Union had suffered far greater losses than expected. The legacy of the Winter War. The Winter War became a symbol of Finnish resistance and tenacity. Despite losing territory, Finland's ability to hold off the Soviet Union for so long earned them the respect of the world. It also served as a lesson to Stalin and the Soviet military, who had vastly underestimated their opponent. The heavy Soviet casualties during the Winter War would have a lasting impact, as the Red Army struggled to recover in the early years of World War II. And so, we've seen how a small nation like Finland, though outnumbered and outgunned, stood up to one of the world's superpowers and fought with unparalleled bravery and determination. The Winter War remains a powerful testament to the strength of national pride and resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. Thank you for joining us in today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more historical insights. Let us know in the comments below what you think about this incredible chapter of World War II history. Until next time, stay curious.